Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on Saturday. It is August 4th, 2018. I'm going to look at all the stakes races on today's program from the spa, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Excellent card of racing today from Saratoga. I'm going to look at all the stakes races, including, which is a part of an all-stakes pick 4, the late pick 4, so I'll look at that, give you out a ticket. So the races I'll be looking at are races 5, 8, 9, 10, 11. So races 5, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's get on to it. The only race not a part of the late pick 4, the 5th race, it's the 15th running of the De La Rose Stakes. Purse $100,000, it's for fillies, mares, 4-year-olds, and upwards. Field of 9 horses here, going the distance of ground of 1,600 meters, if you want to go by that, with the distance of ground of 1 mile on the inner turf course. 1,600, 1 mile, and I show the diagram. It just gives me a second to look down at my notes. Sorry, I'm a moron. I can't do two things at the same time. My top selection here, I'm going to go to the rail horse Uni. I'm going to go 1-5-7-8 in the superfecta, 1-5-7-8 super. If I would play a multi-race, say the early pick 5, early pick 4, I would go 1-5 here, but my top selection would be the one horse Uni, 4-year-old filly by More Than Ready. I rather choose juniors on this one for Chad Brown. This horse's most recent outing came the 14th of April at Aqueduct, 1 mile on the outer turf course in the Plenty of Gray Stakes. First time facing older horses, it was a success. This horse won by a length there. He sat towards the back of that small compact field most of the race, a little wide in the top of the lane, but he took off a very nice victory there off the break. Before that, the 14th of October at Keeneland, a mile and 1/8 in the QE2 Cup. This horse finished 4th by 5.5 lengths there. It was a little bit wide, had a trouble trip, and it just wasn't the day to win there. And then at Belmont, a mile and 1/8 in the Grade 2 Sands Point back in September. This horse won by a neck there and sat towards the back of the pack and closed up well, just getting there in time. That inner turf course at Belmont does not play towards closes, but that day this horse closed up well. This horse has started here at Saratoga in the past. That one race came last year, a mile and 1/8 on the outer, or excuse me, on the Mellon, and the Grade 2 Lake Placid, where this horse finished second by 3/4 length. Very wide in the straightaway, but she was, moving at the end. I like this horse a lot here off the break. She's been training well. 5-2, I know it's a shit price, but you have to take it. Watch out for her to run a big one. I think the 5 horse here is going to be a wise guy horse. The 5 horse Precuse, I believe I said that right. This 4-year-old filly here, Javier Castellanos on this one for Chad Brown. This horse is making her first start in nearly 14 months. 14 months ago was the most recent outing, 23rd of June of 2017 at Royal Ascot. 1 mile in the Group 1 Coronation. This horse finished 7th by 6.25 lengths. A very good Coronation in 2017. The winner Winter when next start out. A very good, O'Brien horse. Roly Poly who finished second. A very good O'Brien horse. 3rd place finisher. Hydrangea, another really good horse. This horse, set the pace early on and then just crumbled out of it. It wasn't the day to win there. Before that, at Deauville, 1 mile, 1,600 meters in the Poulet de Essai des Poliches, basically the French 1,000 guineas. This horse upset it at 28 to 1 there, winning by 1 3/4 lengths. And, stalked early, but had a great turn of foot to get there, giving the veteran Pellier the winner in the race. And then before that, Shunti in the Pre-Siggy. Horse finished second by 3.5 lengths. Didn't keep a straight course, probably cost a victory there. Couldn't get that good click at the end. And then before that, Fontainebleau in just a basic maiden race. Horse won by 3 lengths, going 3/4 mile. Very easy race. Biggest question with this horse is the layoff, and this is going to be the first time this horse is rounding a turn, going around 2 turns. All the races in France were on the straight course, straight 1 mile. Ascot, that was on the straight mile. So it's the biggest question with this horse. How is she going to handle the turn? She has been training here at Saratoga and at Belmont very nicely around the turn. So I expect her to do that well. But just the layoff you have to question a lot with this one. I'll use her on the multi race because, like I said, she's a wise guy horse. She's either going to run a big race or she can run not at all. And also, she looks like she could be some speed in this race, and that's what you need on this inner turf course. So I'll take her. If I get burned by her, I get burned by her. But watch out for her. Put her on the multi race. So to recap my selection for the 5th from Saratoga, it's the 15th running of the De La Rose. Gonna go as a top selection, the 1 horse Uni. Gonna go 1-5-7-8 in the superfecta. I'll go 1-5. So now let's get on to race number 8 from the Race number 8 from Saratoga. It's the beginning of the late pick 4. The 8th race, it's the 93rd running of the Test Stakes. Grade 1 purse, $500,000. Fillies 3-year-olds here. Field of 9 horses going the distance of ground of 1,400 meters, or the distance of ground here of 7 furlongs on the Saratoga main track. 1,400 meters, 7 furlongs. My top selection in this one, I'm going to go to the number 6 horse. The 6 horse, Separation of Powers. I'm going to go 6-2-7-4 in the superfecta. 6-2-7-4 super. In the multi-race, I would go 6-2 to begin off the pick 4. But my top selection is 6 horse, Separation of Powers. 3-year-old filly by Candy Ride. Jose Ortiz gets the leg up for Chad Brown. Horse's most recent outing, first off the break, came at Belmont, 6.5 furlongs in the Grade 3 Victory ride. This horse finished 4th by 1 3/4 lengths and sat way out of it early on after a troubled beginning and a little trouble trip throughout the race, but a decent turn of foot at the end to get the 4th place finish. I think here, second off the break with the extra furlong, this horse should really do well. A lot of pace in this one for this horse to get, that good closing kick. Before that, this horse ran the 4th in November at Del Mar, a mile and 16th in a Breeze Club Juvenile Fillies. This horse finished 4th by 5 1/4 lengths there, and this tracked the leaders all around the race course from a wide post draw and just never had the move, the good closing kick. Had to be used a lot early on, so I think that cost the horse the victory there. And then before that, at Belmont, 1 mile in the Grade 1 for Zet. This horse won by 3.5 lengths. Stalked early, got the lead and took off clear on that good going, and then won the spin-away last September here at, finished 3rd in the spin-away last September here at Saratoga. 3rd by 4 lengths with the leaders early on, but then she kind of hit the wall. But she broke her main very nicely over this race course last July, winning by 11 3/4 lengths. I like this horse a lot here, second off the break, 7-2. She's kind of versatile, so watch out for her. And I think the 2 horse Spectator is a good horse to have on your multi-race. John Velasquez picks up on the mount on this trio, filly by Jimmy's Creed. Michelle Nevin trains. This horse's most recent outing came in the victory ride at Belmont a few weeks ago, 6.5 furlongs. This horse finished 6th by 2 1/4 lengths there and just had nothing. First off the break, first on the East Coast, just had nothing. It was a very humid day, so maybe that had something to do with it. But I think coming here second off the break, the extra half furlong, training here a lot more regularly. I like the horse's chances a lot. Before that, Santa Anita under the care of Phil D'Amato and the mile 16th in the Santa Anita Oaks. This horse finished second by 3.5 lengths behind Midnight Bisou. This horse stalked most of the race behind Midnight Bisou and just couldn't catch her. It wasn't the day to win. And then before that, Santa Anita, 6.5 off 6-2 claimer. Facing older horses there, this horse won by a neck, sat back early, had the lead, weakened out of it, but then fought back at the end to get the victory. Good victory for this horse there. Good, game performance. And then before that, the Del Mar debutante at Del Mar, 7 furlongs, 10 of the second of last year. Horse finished 3rd by 5 3/4 lengths. Horrible beginning, which probably cost her the victory. She just couldn't get that good closing kick there. But before that, she won the Sorrento very nicely at Del Mar by 5 1/4 lengths, going away with it. I like this horse a lot here today. 8-1. I'll use her on the multi-race. So to recap my selections for the 8th from Saratoga, it's the 93rd running of the Grade 1 Longines Test Stakes. As a top selection, I'm going to use the 6 horse Separation of Powers. I'm going to go 6-2-7-4 in the superfecta. I'll go 6-2 in the multi-race. So now let's get on to today's featured 9th race. The 9th race from Saratoga, it's the feature race. It's the 91st running of the Whitney Stakes, Grade 1 purse, $1.2 million. This race is for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of, as my iPad craps out, field of 8 horses here going the distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/8, 1 lap around the Saratoga main track. 1,800, a mile and 1/8, 9 furlongs, if you want to go by that. My top selection in the Whitney, I'm going to go to the number 7 horse, Good Samaritan. I'm going to go 7-1-6-4 in the superfecta, 7-1-6-4 super. In the multi-race now, I would go 7-1-6. My top selection is 7 horse, Good Samaritan, 4-year-old colt by Harlan's Holiday. Jose Ortiz picks up the mount. I have Jose Ortiz a lot today, I've noticed in the first 3 races I'm looking at, so he better have a good day. I think he will, because he's loaded on this card. But most recently, this horse started on the Good Samaritan. Most recent outing came the 9th of June at Belmont, 1 mile in the Met Mile. This horse finished 7th by 7 1/4 lengths. Moved a little bit at the end, but I think that was the wrong race for this horse. This horse is a 2-turn marathon, well, not marathon, but classic distance horse. Mile and eighth, mile and a quarter, even a mile and a half would be up this horse's alley. I just don't think that one turn mile is to his liking. Before that, Churchill, miles 16th in the Grade 2 Alashiba. This horse finished third by 5 1/4 lengths. Sat a little bit closer than usual that day. This horse, he just couldn't get that good closing kick. It was his first race in quite a while. And then before that, in the New Orleans Handicap at the Fairgrounds, mile and eighth, this horse won by 2 1/4 lengths. Sat back early, but had a great turn of foot at the end to get the victory going away. And then before that, in the Clark Handicap, he nearly won it. He finished second by half length. He was a little bit wide, but he was coming at the end. Like I said, wasn't a bad race there. Then before that, he had a fourth in the Jockey Club, fifth in the Travers, and then is probably one of his best races. It came in the Jim Dandy last year at Saratoga, where this horse won by 4 3/4 lengths. And going down the backstretch, this horse, you didn't think he was going to win, but he made a good turn of foot around the far turn, and he went away with it. Very good victory. First on dirt, by the way. Like I said, I think here 2 turns is up his alley. He's been training well. 12 to 1 is a great price on this one. Watch out for him. I think the one horse Tappert at 6 to 1 can run a big one also. 4-year-old colt by Tappert. John Velasquez gets the leg up on this one. This horse's most recent outing came at Belmont, a mile and a quarter in the Suburban a few weeks ago. This horse finished fifth by 9 3/4 lengths there and was very, very wide, 9 wide that day, and just really never got the good closing kick. It wasn't the day to win. Nobody was catching Diversified that day. Before that, at Belmont, mile 16th opposite Claimer, first start in nearly 10 months. This horse finished third by 1 1/4 lengths. He hit the gate going out of it that day, a little bit wide, and he just needed the race, I think. And then before that, the Travers, he finished fourth by 8 lengths. Just didn't have the good move there. But before that, he won the Belmont very nicely by 2 lengths. Sixth in the Derby in 2017, and then before that, fifth in the Bluegrass, and won the Tampa Bay Derby, easily going away by 4.5 lengths, closing up well. I think here with good post draw, good distance for him. If he gets a good trip, I think he can run a big one. This track is not so quirky like Belmont is, especially going a mile and a quarter where you start on the turn. It's like I said, very quirky. But I think here 6 to 1, I'll use him along with Diversify. I believe he is the favorite here. This 5-year-old gelding by Bellamy Road. Bellamy Road, best remembered as winning the Wood Memorial at Belmont 2005, was there that day, and he put on a show, but that race probably took a lot out of him because he ran absolutely crappy in the Derby a few weeks later. I think that was your Giacomo one. But here on Diversify, Ira Ortiz Jr. gets the leg up for Rick Violetta Jr. This horse ran the Suburban a few weeks ago at Belmont, a mile and a quarter, and this horse made the race his bitch. He won by 6.5 lengths on lead all the route, and it was a very easy eye-opening performance at 6 to 1. He ran the race in sub 2 minutes also, which is even more impressive. A great race there. Before that, against Statebreds and the Commentator at Belmont, 1 mile, May the 28th. This horse won by a nose there. Sat back early after a little bit of a trouble trip. Was a little bit wide, but he took off at the end. A good race there. And then, he ran a clunker in the Charlestown Classic, where he finished 7th by 26 lengths. He was with the pace early on, and then he just hit the wall going around, about 5 furlongs from home. It just wasn't the day to win there off the break. And then before that, in the Clark Handicap, he finished fourth by as my phone goes off. Wrong time for it to go off. But, before that, this horse ran in the Clark Handicap, where this horse finished fourth by 3 3/4 lengths. And, it's the wrong spot, I think, for him. They are a mile and eighth, a track that can play towards closers. I think that was the wrong race. But before that, he won the Jockey Club at Belmont very nicely. And won the Evans Shipment over this track last year very nicely. I like him a lot here today. Again, he's the kind of horse, like the horse I have in the other race. He's going to run either a very good race or a very crap race. There's not going to be an in-between for this horse. So I'll use him as insurance on here. But he is good enough to win. But like I said, he's going to either run 2 races. So to recap my selections for the 9th from Saratoga, it's the 91st running of the Grade 1 Whitney. As a top selection, you can use the 7-horse Good Samaritan. I'm going to go 7-1-6-4 in the Superfecta. I'll go 7-1-6 in the multi-race pick 4. So now let's get on to race number 10 from Saratoga. Race number 10 from Saratoga. It's the 15th running of the Waya Stakes. Grade 3 purse, $200,000 here. This race is for fillies, mares, 3-year-olds, and upwards. Field of 8 horses here going the distance of ground of 2,400 meters. or the distance of ground here, which is one of my favorite distances actually, distance of ground of 1.5 miles on the inner turf course, rails at 9 feet, 2,400, a mile and a half. Not enough mile-and-a-half races in North America for my liking. That's why I look at the British racing and the the races outside America. They're carded almost every single race, it seems. But my top selection here, I like the number 8 horse Lati. I'm going to go 8517 in the Superfecta. 8517 Super. To the multi-race now, I'm going to go 851. 3-horse race, I think, this race. But 851 for me in this one. My top selection, the 8 horse Lati. 5-year-old mare by Arch. Edgar Prado gets the leg up on this Grand Motion train. 5-year-old mare by Arch. The horse's most recent outing came the 5th of May. That came at Belmont. A mile and 3/8 in the Grade 2 Sheepshead Bay. This horse finished second by half length. Just sat stalking most of the race there. Holy Helen, I just had the jump on her, but it was a decent first race off a break. She's coming off a little bit of a break again here today, but I think she had a decent run in this race last year, and I think the 1.5 miles is a lot. Is her preferred distance. I think. Before that, she ran in the Hollywood Turf Cup against the boys at Del Mar, 1.5 miles, November the 24th. This horse finished 5th there by 4.5 lengths. Sat about mid-pack most of the race. She closed up a tiny bit, but it wasn't enough to win. And then before that, in the Dowager at Keeneland, 1.5 miles, October the 22nd, this horse finished 3rd by 4 3/4 lengths. Again, she had a decent turn of foot at the end after a little trouble trip during the race, but she ran well there. Her last victory, you have to go to the 2nd of June of 2017 at Belmont, mile 3/8 inner turf course and lounge race, where this horse won by half length. A little bit of a trouble trip that day, but she had, she got the victory there, quickening up nicely. After that, she finished 3rd in the River Memories at Belmont, kind of the local prep race for this race, and then she finished 2nd in this race last year. Really had a decent turn of foot there. I think here, like I said, off the break, perfect race for her. She's a good 20 mile and a half horse at 8-1. 4-1. I wish 8-1, but at 4-1, I'll be all over her. So far, Grand Motion I think is like 14-0. I think he'll get the victory with this horse. So watch out for this horse. So I'm also going to use the 5-horse Santa Monica as a top selection. This 5-year-old mare by Master Craftsman. Jose Ortiz is on this one. This horse is a very interesting horse. She didn't run a lot in Europe, but here in America, she's been running some decent races, most recently at Woodbine, 1.25 miles in the Grade 2's Dan Smartley, where this horse won by a half length, closing up well from the back of the pack. She took good advantage of the 2 furlong straightaway at Woodbine, and, decent turn of foot, great victory there, off a little bit of a break. Before that, in Sheepshead Bay at Belmont, mile 3/8, May the 5th, this horse finished 3rd by half length there. She closed up well, she quickened up nicely. She wasn't going to get the victory, but she ran well there, and then at Keeneland, 1.5 miles in the just a 63,000 allowance race. First start stateside, first start with Lasix. She won by 4 lengths. She just destroyed the field. Here in North America, she's been carrying lower weights. In Europe, if you look at her last few European runs, 134 pounds, 133 pounds, 131. She was a high handicap horse, which I don't think was to her liking. Here in America, she's carrying lesser weight, which I think is the reason why she's running a lot better. Also, she's running with Lasix, which I personally think is like it improves the European horses a lot. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Lasix, but when you have them, you have to use them, I guess. But she ran a big race her last few. I think here 2-1, not a good price, but I think she'll run a big one, so she's a horse you want to use, along with the 1-horse Homeland Security. This is the kind of horse, she's going to be the speed in this race, which does not have a lot of speed. So Irad Ortiz is either going to sit on the front end and walk, and if he walks, he'll have a horse left over to go wire to wire, but say he wants to set a fast pace, this horse is going to run a crap race. This is the kind of horse, like I said, about my other 2 horses I have today, run a good race or she's going to run a bad race. This horse, most recently in the River Memories, this horse won by a length there at 4-1, stalked early, got the lead, took off clear, very nice easy victory there. Before that at Belmont, 1.25 miles inner turf course, yielding around off 6-2 claimer. This horse finished 4th by 1 3/4 lengths. The winner had a hell of a race, did kind of what this horse might do today, opened up by a bunch, slowed it down, and then quickened up again just to hold on. This horse just really couldn't catch him there. And then before that, at Belmont, 1.25 miles turf course lounge race last fall, horse won by 1.5 lengths. Quickened up nicely, very easy victory. Like I said, this horse, she's kind of versatile. She could sit on the front end or she come from behind. I expect her to sit a little bit closer today because there's no pace in this race, and if this horse could walk on the front end, I think she can get a piece of it. 5-1, she'll be used on the multi-race. So to recap my selection for the 10th from Saratoga, it's the 15th running of the Grade 3 Waya. Top selection, going to go to the 8-horse Lassie. Going to go 8-5-1-7 in the Superfecta. I'll go 8-5-1 in the multi-race. So now let's get on to race number 11 from Saratoga. Race number 11 from Saratoga. It's the 6th running of the Lure Stakes. Purse $100,000. It's for 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 10 horses here going the distance of ground of 1,700 meters or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16th on the Mellon Turf Course. 1,700 meters, a mile 1/16th on the Mellon. My top selection here, I'm going to go to the outside to the 9-horse Inspector Lindley. I'm going to go 9-6-3-4 in the Superfecta, 9-6-3-4 Super. To the multi-race, I'm going to go too deep. I'm going to go 9-6, but my top selection, 9-horse Inspector Lindley, 5-year-old horse by Lemon Drop Kid. Jose Ortiz is on this one for Shug McGahee. This horse's most recent outing came the 16th of June at Churchill, a mile and 1/16th in the Grade 2 Wisden. This horse finished second there by half length. It's that towards the back of the pack after a little bit of trouble trip early on, but he closed up well at the end. A little traffic trouble, but he ran well there at the end. Before that, at Belmont, 1 mile on the Widener, an optional 80 claimer. His horse finished second there by a nose, and again sat back early after a little bit of a wide trip, but he was coming at the end. Wasn't a bad race there, and then at Keeneland. A mile 16th allowance race, 69,000. Horse finished there by half length, very wide there, but again, he's a closer. He was coming at the end. He's 1 for 1 here at Saratoga. His only start here at Saratoga came nearly 2 years ago in the Grade 3 Saranac in 2016, a mile and 8th inner turf course, where this horse won by head. He got there in the end. Good victory for this horse, but after that, they tried this horse at different races, and he either ran good races or subpar races. His win after the Saranac, his next one, you have to go to the 11th of February of 2017 at Tampa, mile 16th in the Tampa Bay Stakes, where this horse won by half length. That day he sat a little bit closer, and he got the victory by half length, but after that he hasn't won since then, so it's nearly a year and a half later, and he's still looking for a victory, but I think he'll get it today. It's a lower class for him to get a good race. 6-1, trading well. I'll use him here on top, along with the 6-horse Battle Rocks. He'll be used on my multi-race ticket. 5-year-old horse by Stormy Atlantic. I read Ortiz Jr.'s on this one for Belmont. This horse's most recent outing came in Grade 3 Poker at Belmont, 1 mile on the Widener, June 17th. Horse finished 5th by 6.5 lengths there. The winner, Oscar Performance, ran the race in track record time. This horse was wide and just had nothing. Couldn't catch a fast pace in front of him. Before then, the Makers 46 mile at Keeneland during the spring, 1 mile. This horse finished second by 1 3/4 lengths there. He stalked most of the race and just couldn't catch hard at hard. In the stretch, it looked like this horse was closing up, but then, he kind of just hit the wall about 16th to go. It wasn't the day to win there. And then before then, the Brews Cup Mile, Del Mar, 1 mile. They set their heights a little bit too high there. He finished 9th by 3 lengths. Wide Postra, just had nothing there, and it wasn't the day to win. And then before then, the Shadow Turf Mile at Keeneland, he finished 3rd by half length. It was a lot better run than he had in the Makers 46. Wide there, but he was coming up at the end. The winner of the Makers 46 mile was a horse by the name of Swedo or Swedas, whatever it was. He actually ran earlier this week in England at Goodwin, ran a very good second place finish, an all-out finish. But Sweda, or whoever won that day, whatever you pronounce it, who won the Shadowell Mile, had just a better turn of foot than this horse. And then before that, this horse's most recent Saratoga outing came in the 4-star Dave last summer, where this horse finished second by 3.5 lengths behind World Approval. You have to know, before that 4-star Dave in 2017, it poured an hour before post, and the ground was a lot softer than he probably wanted, and that's the reason why he lost. But I think here, a little bit of a good firm ground. He should like it a lot. 6-1, watch out for him. So to recap my selections for today's, or excuse me, 4-1, not 6-1, but to recap my selection for the 11th from Saratoga, it's the 6th running of the lower stakes. Gonna go with the 9-horse Inspector Lindley. Gonna go 9-6-3-4 in the Superfecta. I'll go 9-6 to end off the pick 4. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5. Good luck, everybody.